everyone, it's Mark here, aka Captain DeFi from the Oz DeFi Association. And in this episode, number 2 of Getting to Know the Community, we're having a chat with Alan Booth, who is an NFT extraordinaire. It's a really cool chat. We get into the technical details of how he got involved, from his background in software engineering to where he is now doing a whole lot of Web3 work. It's an amazing story, and we hope that you'll enjoy it. And we're back, everyone. And today we're with a special guest, Alan, who's from our NFT part of the community at Oz DeFi Association. Alan, thanks for being here.
No worries, man. Thanks very much for having me.
Good stuff. Now, we kind of have a bit of a connection there because your brother and we went to school together. I don't want to give away how old now necessarily, but it was a little while ago. And yeah, man, so it's really cool to connect. Shout out to Phil. It's really good to connect with you in the Web3 space. Who would have known that we could have done that?
Yeah, definitely, man. It's kind of like a small world thing, right?
Oh, exactly. And Phil was telling me about, the story of you guys getting into a Web3 space, and for him especially, and how it had to do with you. So I just love that kind of story of family connection there. But why don't we dive into that for the guests that don't know you already, and the writings that you've done and the work you've done in this space? What is it that brought you to Web3, and how long ago did you get started?
So I first got into Web3, or like the crypto space, probably around towards mid-September last year. And that was basically because I had a friend that had recently gotten into NFT trading.
Okay.
And he was always saying like, oh, it's just like such a new and emerging space. And like, obviously like the financial benefit that people were making at the time from like trading and flipping NFTs, because I feel like there was a huge NFT boom, particularly around September and towards the last quarter of last year. So that obviously brought in like a whole like heap of people that wanted to learn more, not only about NFTs, but some people who were genuinely curious and saw it as an opportunity to learn more about blockchain itself. So I think for me, because I've got a software engineering background, like blockchain was always one of those things that like I heard about, but I never really kind of looked into it. And I thought, with the whole, NFT craze and stuff like that, and why not use it as like an entry point to kind of understand, how blockchain works, and, understand like the pretty much underlying technical aspects of like NFTs, and like, how does minting work? How does, transfers work, and all that other, fun information. So I probably got into NFTs, as I said, mid-September, and then the November after, since like that 1 month period that I had within the space, it really kind of like drew me in. And that's when I started learning the more technical side of things. So I picked up Solidity, which is the programming language used by smart contracts, specifically on Ethereum. And ever since then, man, it's just been like a nonstop grind. Like I've learned so much about the language. I've learned so much about blockchain, so much about like, the culture of like Web3 and stuff like that. And it's been really good.
Not much sleep, eh?
No, definitely not. Especially within like, any Aussies who are into NFTs know that most drops typically tend to happen around like 2, 3 a.m. or like just some ungodly time, like especially in Sydney as well. So there was definitely a period where my sleep was just wrecked. Like I was absolutely sleep deprived for probably like a month straight.
Oh my goodness. Is it better now though?
Yeah, it's definitely better now. I feel like just because, as I said, when this NFT boom was really going on, like literally everything and anything was selling out, and you could sell like anything for like a nice little profit. So wow. I feel like that was pretty crazy time.
Okay, no, that's pretty interesting, man. So I guess it kind of gets into that next question that we'll have for guests, which is whether you classify yourself as more of an investor or a builder or a researcher, or are you a bit of a Renaissance guy and you're kind of doing it all?
I would like to classify myself as pretty much, I dip my toes into all 3 areas that you just mentioned. So regarding like investing, when I first got into the space, it was kind of like I had no idea what I was doing. It was just like, if my friends would link me an NFT project to mint, or like they thought one that was good, I'd go for it. But from an NFT kind of standpoint, as I was in the space longer and longer, my strategy kind of changed. So it's like nowadays I'm only really investing in established projects that have proven track record. Um, so that's that from the investing kind of view. And obviously, as I mentioned before, like, I picked up Solidity. So I've been doing a lot of, a lot of building myself.
Mhm.
So I've been doing a lot of freelance smart contract work, helping founders, kind of build out their vision. And that's just through typically NFT minting smart contracts, DeFi sort of stuff like ERC20s. Also written a few staking contracts as well.
Oh, wow.
But it's been really good from that point of view. And in terms of like research, like
Yeah.
I think research is probably one of the main areas that I've kind of invested my time into.
Mhm.
Recently, I've been doing a lot of reading up on audit reports. I've
Okay.
gotten in touch with a few big, white hats that currently work for pretty well named, crypto firms, and just learning as much as I can from them. Went down the rabbit hole of like gas optimization, smart contract security, best design principles, and stuff like that. So that's probably where most of my time is going at the moment.
Mate,
So to
that's
answer your question, I
yeah.
would say I'm involved in all three aspects.
Love it, love it. Kind of forcing myself to dabble in all three as well, but maybe not at the level that you've gone into. And it kind of leads into this next question. So there's many in the space that they are just kind of dabbling in it. They're maybe doing a little bit in investing. They're maybe doing a little bit of work, but they've still got the day job. So it's kind of like a side hustle. But for you, it seems like you've gone deep into it. Can you tell people about what kind of work you are doing in this space? Because you are actually working on stuff, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, no. So as I mentioned, like November is when I picked up Solidity, and I didn't really get the confidence to start, writing production level code probably until maybe December. So it was a 2 month, block where it was just every day nonstop, just reading as much resources as I can about the language. And I got the opportunity to do my first piece of freelance work for a guy who wanted an NFT token done, but the actual NFT kind of acted as like an authentication token for his software.
Okay.
So, he'd have like some software, and then like if you had the NFT, the token in your wallet, you could actually gain access to the software, which was pretty cool. And funnily enough, that was the first project I ever wrote. It probably took me around like a week and a half to write it, fully flush everything out, like do all the testing and stuff for it, and I actually made it to the front page of OpenSea, which was pretty
Oh
cool and
wow.
very humbling.
That's pretty cool, man. That is very,
Yeah,
very cool
yes,
actually.
yeah. So that was one aspect of work. I mean, ever since then, I've
Mm.
probably helped over a dozen clients, kind of build out their smart contracts, which is really cool as well.
Mhm.
I've also been very fortunate to get freelance work regarding smart contract auditing. So I've had a few
Okay.
projects, approach me, ask for an audit, and that whole process, because like, I really enjoy the security side of things, has
Mm.
been really fun as well. Just being able to comb over like the business logic, make sure it's working as intended. But yeah, that's probably been the fun stuff. In terms
Yeah.
of investing, I've been doing in the space. So I'm pretty well invested into, a couple big name projects like Mutant Ape Yacht Club, Azuki, Pixel Vault. Um,
Nice.
mainly just projects that, kind of have built up a reputation for themselves. As I mentioned before, like when I first got into the space, it was kind of just, buying anything and,
Mm.
just hoping for the best. But I feel like as you kind of, gain more of that foundational knowledge, you kind of have a general idea of like, what project has a good prospect in the long term, rather than ones that are purely built off hype. Because like how many projects do you see that have like 50, 60,000 followers on Twitter before they even launch, and you
Yeah.
can just tell like when you're in the Discord and the only thing that the community is talking about is the floor price, or no
Uh,
one's really interested in like what kind of future the project has, then it's always a red flag. But yeah.
Mate, that's pretty cool. I mean, going from not, knowing too much and kind of taking a guess at things at the very start to being more mature. And I'm sure there's much more to go for all of us in this space, whether we're building or
I
investing.
agree.
Really cool, I think, for others, to see here how that journey's played out for you, because it's certainly possible, like a lot of
Yeah.
people get daunted by the space, but you're proof positive that this kind of stuff is possible. So that's really cool. The
Yeah.
thing I was going to get into was kind of now that given your background in software engineering and just the things that you've been able to do so quickly in this space. And it's all been kind of helped by, like, if we think about it, crypto is like these building blocks, right? And for us to get into this space, we didn't come from nowhere. We've all come from our different pathways as a creator, an artist, this or that. So we've had these building blocks, but given what you've seen in this short period of time, if there was something that you could think about improving in this space, what is it, and how would you do it, do you think?
That's a great question. I think for me, there is quite a lot that can be improved. Me personally, I think the UI UX currently that exists at the moment for anything blockchain related, like, isn't that great.
Yeah.
I feel there's still a very long way to go in terms of what can be improved and what can be done to kind of optimize the user experience. Like recently, the Bored Ape Yacht Club did like a merch release, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were using Shopify, but they were using I think it was CoinSpot payment processor, because all the merch had to be purchased with their own ERC20, which was ApeCoin.
Mm-hmm.
And even just going through that checkout process, you could just tell that it was very clunky. Like, there are a ton of people in the Discord, sending through payments that weren't getting registered. Because realistically, once the payment, address that you had to pay to got generated, if you didn't pay within 15 minutes, your payment gets invalidated. So a lot of people, were sending through their payments like early, but the payments weren't processing for like 20, 30 minutes.
Oh
And
my
that
God.
resulted in a lot of people getting their, orders not marked as like fully paid.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of like the e-commerce side of things, there is still a very, very long way we have to go, in terms of, user experience. Because realistically, if somebody wants to buy something, they're not going to sit there and then wait at a screen for 15 minutes for their payment to get marked as, for
Yeah.
their order to get marked as processed. So I think that the UI UX is definitely something that needs to improve on. I feel like the amount of scams in the space,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
realistically, people are getting scammed like left, right, and center every single day. People are losing like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I mean, like, yeah, one take is that, obviously with decentralization comes, responsibility for your own money. But realistically, how are we supposed to face, mass adoption if the chances of people getting scammed, especially those people that, aren't really well versed in the area of crypto, that don't know what they're doing, like, you know what I mean? Like, there are going to be people that come in, get scammed for like, their life savings within the space of like, a month or something.
yeah.
And what do you tell them? Like, that's it. We can't do anything to get it
Sorry.
back.
Yeah, exactly. It's not good
So
enough.
I think those are probably the two main barriers that I see between mass adoption and crypto in its current state. But yeah, those are the two main things that come to mind.
Mate, that's awesome. And yeah, that they would definitely be things high on our radar for things to improve. And we ask this because we know that this space is not where it needs to be yet for that mass
Yeah,
adoption.
definitely.
We're
I
all working
think
towards that, right? So
I think touching on those last points as well,
mm,
those are going to be the multi-million, multi-billion dollar problems to solve. Like, if you can
yeah,
solve, like, if you can find a way to guarantee that people that are getting scammed can get their assets back, and if you can be the first company to optimize the e-commerce UI UX for crypto payments, I think those are going to be very successful people.
well, I'm sure we'll have people in the audience thinking of ways to fix that. So, reach out to us if you do, folks. Speaking of the, where things are heading, crystal ball time. So you spoke about the stuff that you want to improve, but where do you realistically kind of see things in the next 12 months? So given it's early April right now, 2022, early April in 2023, what are some of the things that you kind of see from this space? Either you can focus on locally or globally, be general, or you can talk about something specific for yourself. This is just an open question about something that you see when you look into your crystal ball for the next 12 months.
I think that I do see more wider adoption. Don't get me wrong, I see
Mm.
more wider adoption, but I don't see mass adoption.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll see a lot more retail names jump into the space, especially, with all the NFT hype that's been going around recently.
Yeah.
So I do think there'll be an increase of users. I don't see it changing too rapidly from what it is now. I still think we have many, many years to go until we see, great wide adoption or mass adoption, sorry. And that's what I think in terms of like, the general public and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In terms of the NFT space, I think there's going to be a big shift in what people look for in NFTs.
Okay.
One thing that I commonly say is that I think that the best use case for NFTs hasn't even been thought of yet. Like nobody knows what the best use case is because realistically, you look at what's currently on the market now, and it's all kind of like solutions to the same problem. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like we're giving NFT project creators like they have to build out their own utility. So within the short 6 months or so that NFTs have really started going off, I think that we're yet to see some crazy utility that hasn't even been thought of yet. So I think that's my take on
Mhm.
the NFT specific use case. And myself, I guess 12 months from now, I'd obviously like to be running my own consulting firm. So just helping project creators and ideas people just build out their visions and stuff like that. Obviously doing additional services like smart contract auditing, at a larger scale than what I am now. But yeah.
Mate, that's fantastic. I hope we hit the mark on all three of those. And whilst, a lot of people might be maxis and want to get into the mass adoption, I don't want it to come before the industry is ready. There's a lot of stuff we need to fix.
Definitely.
Critiques are great. We're not just, it's not just those outside that are giving the FUD, but, we're internal. We're looking at our own kind of fear, uncertainty, and doubt and critiques and ways to fix it. So I think it will happen in time, but I do hope out of all of that, for yourself, that you hit those goals first and foremost. And speaking
Thank
of,
you.
this is the whole reason why we're here is all about the community. And we like to ask our guests this last question before they go, but to Alan, what does community mean to you?
I think to me, community kind of means just like, a group of like-minded people gathering together in order to achieve a greater goal. So within like the crypto space, well, if we look at like Oz DeFi Association, you can tell that the whole vibe in there is to just have a bunch of people that, are generally interested in crypto that want to start learning more and more about it. And then you have all these supportive community members, some more experienced than others, that are always willing to kind of chip in and, help people get to the next level of understanding. So I think in terms of that, I think community is probably one of the strongest things that you can have within this space. If you want to enter this space and do it by yourself, it's going to be very, very challenging. Like I can't tell you like how many times like I was stuck on a specific development problem relating to like, smart contract code.
Mm.
And if I didn't have like, a mentor to reach out to and kind of ask them, hey, like, how do you go about solving this problem? I would be stuck in those positions for a much longer period of time. So I think community within this space is very important. And yeah.
Mate, that's fantastic. That's such a good answer. Thanks for throwing us in there. There's a
No worries.
whole wide range of communities out there, and we just love the small but mighty one that we've been cultivating over this time. And we're so lucky to have you in here. We'll have to throw down in the show notes as well some of the links to your articles and writings and things that you've been up to in this space. But yeah, people want to reach out and connect with you. What channels, and apart from being in the Discord as well, but are you more active on Twitter? Like where do people kind of see you?
I'm definitely a lot more active on Twitter. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is ItsCuzzo, but like, so it's capital L because I couldn't get the capital I.
Oh,
I couldn't get the original handle.
yeah.
So it's lowercase LTS and then CUZZO.
Mhm.
If you're interested in, maybe a more technical understanding, or if you're a developer yourself, you can also check out my Medium articles. That's ItsCuzzo, same way as before, but it's actually a capital I this time.
Mhm.
So I managed to snag the OG. But yeah, like I post a lot of my articles mainly related to, NFT minting, specifically areas of research that I'm touching on.
Mhm.
And I post all sorts of content over on my Medium. So if you're interested in, getting more technical, feel free to check me out there as well.
Yep. We'll put it down in the show notes for sure, man. And look, thank you so much for your time. We've got plenty more of these interviews and getting to know the community to do. But for now, Alan, it was a pleasure.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
There you go, folks. So how cool was that? It does not take long to get started in this space. And the cool thing is that you can bring whatever other skills that you've got in your background. So you might be a builder, or you might be a creative, or you might have something else that you're bringing from the pre-Web3 space. You know, in Web2, you could have been really good at marketing, but it is possible, certainly possible, to find your niche and get into this space. Niche, however you want to pronounce it. But if you want to check out more about Alan's story, please do check out the show notes below. And as we always say, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next episode.